Hey everyone, DK here from Adventures in Dirt, live on RELICS Radio. Happy Thursday to you. Straight out of the gate, no music. We're not wasting any time tonight. We have a very important guest with us tonight. But hey, Tony, are you with me? How you doing, buddy?
Thursday night, my favorite night of the week. We're one day closer to Friday,
Oh, I know.
which means closer to the weekend, which means
Close to the weekend.
some metal detecting.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't know if
Last
we're getting out this weekend. Last
This
weekend.
weekend, yeah. Well, last week we were talking about how frozen we were, and we're never getting out again until the spring. We kind of did a thing, didn't we?
We did a thing. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know how much we can actually talk about it. I know we say that a lot on this show, but oh my gosh. So, first, weather. We always talk weather.
Yeah.
So what happened this weekend?
Sunshiny skies and snow's melting everywhere, and
60
it's like
degrees.
50s and 60 degrees out, and you kind of get that spring itch, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I can get the spade in the ground for a little bit. It might be a little bit to get through, the first 2 inches, in the morning, but man, the afternoon, we're definitely going to just kill it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, it was a beautiful weekend, and we could disclose a little bit. The reason we don't want to talk about too much is us being on YouTube and things like that. We try to save some of the surprises for the videos and stuff. So
We have about 300 videos coming at you here sometime this month.
It was an incredible detecting adventure for 4 people, and bucket listers for nearly everybody. And I tell you, I know I let you know earlier, but I'm just about done with my video, and I'm gonna put it out on Saturday. It's 25 minutes long right now, and I probably cut out another 15 of it. I need to do a little bit more cutting, but I mean it's just finds upon finds. So
yeah.
I'm excited to share that, and there's some really good stuff that we had over the weekend.
That's always hard to decide, right? Do I put out one 30-minute video or 3 10-minute videos, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I caught a sneak peek at it today, and it was really cool. Like, I enjoyed watching it because it took me right back there. Like, it was one of those hunts, guys. Like where you think about it the next day. I've been thinking about it ever since, and then we all start sharing photos, which then brings it all back, and
Right.
all the excitement. Plus, we're on this little text group between the 4 of us, and we're still going strong. Like ever since Sunday, it's been nonstop all day. Like. It's been crazy. They've just been taking pictures and sending them back, and talking about where we're going to next.
Right. Well, we've had all week to clean up the finds, and now that we've got them cleaned, and now they're starting to sparkle, and you get some definition and details. You send them out, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was this, or look at this, and it's pretty amazing stuff. It was a great hunt, and good videos coming out.
More to come on that for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had one of those finds where it was one of those surprise finds, where you're like, you find something, you look at it, and you're like, huh, I wonder where that came from. Like it's got some writing on it.
Yep.
And you're like, that's interesting. Like, but it's a piece of junk. Like it's like a foil cap or something, but why is this written on it? And then you go and you start doing the research, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, do you know what that is? Like it reveals itself to you. You find out finally, and you're like, that is tied to one of the most epic, important events in our history.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the 1800s, that happened in the 1800s, and this is tied right to it directly. Like, not oh man,
yeah.
I think I'm gonna make that its own video.
Yeah,
I think that one item is gonna be its own.
It
video.
deserves just the information coming from that one deserves its own video for sure. Yep.
Those type of finds though, you show to a friend of yours or something, and they're like, huh? You're like, no,
really?
You don't understand, like the connection, and they're like they actually gave these away there, and you're like, huh? And they're like, huh? They don't get it.
Love it. It's a great find too. Great find.
Who's joining us tonight? We got people jumping in the chat.
Everybody coming on over. Yeah, it's great. Mr. Bill Hayes says hi all. Hi Ken and Tony. And Mike Chamberlain, hello all you dirty hand diggers.
Hey there, Mike.
I got dirty this weekend, and I think this last weekend. And if we go out this weekend, it's going to be even dirtier because we're supposed to get rain. It's going to be muddy. Patty Clodfelter, welcome. Jackie Burks.
up,
Miss
Jackie?
Jackie. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on to the live chat. We appreciate you guys being here.
Yep. Another Thursday here on Relics Radio. If you're joining us on the replay, hey, we love seeing your numbers come in and we see you out there. But I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to have you introduce yourself to me. So go ahead and go over to the Facebook group. That's Relics Radio Facebook group. Join the group. Say hello. Drop a post in there, and would love to see you and talk with you and hear how you liking the show so far. So, yeah, man, I talk about dirty. I got a bunch of dirt in my mouth on Sunday. I don't know how I did that, but I ended up getting a lot of dirt in my mouth. I don't.
You called it the dishwasher. When you find something really good and you got to clean it off really quickly, it goes in right in the dishwasher.
Sometimes you got to do it.
Pretty
Sometimes
funny,
you just got to do
man.
it.
Pretty funny.
Oh, it was a lot of fun for sure, and in the camaraderie too. We had a good
Mhm.
time.
It,
We all
it
met up a spot and had to get into one car because there wasn't a lot of parking where we were going, and cruise up there, and then Tony drove his van, so we all piled in his van and we all went up there and stuff. And then of course Tony finds the first great find. So we're all telling him, okay, well you can leave now, but we couldn't really tell him he could leave because he's our ride back down to our car. So we had to put up with him gloating for about 10 minutes.
so the next great find.
So the
Yeah.
next great find,
Yeah.
right? Let me see, is there anything we could talk about? Let me see as far as okay. How much you want to release? We were on for Colorado, we were on a very old spot.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. In Colorado back in the day when things were being established in Colorado, a lot of stagecoach trails, a lot of points, certain miles away from each other, that kind of those things. Not a lot of development out in the state, and that's how people traveled. Were on these trails from point A to point B to point C to point D along the way, going from east to west, north to south, and those kind of things. So if you can find the old sites, you're going to find the old stuff before things really started getting built up in Colorado. So we were lucky enough to find one of those sites. And you know what? Considering that it had been metal detected before, we still did very well. And I know there's going to be another video or two from it again because it's just going to keep giving. So a lot of stuff in the area. Do your research. Door knock, get the permissions, and I mean it's just the same things that you stress over and over. If you can't find the old stuff. We get asked that a lot, right? How do you guys find the old stuff?
Right. Especially in our club meetings, because we have a lot of park hunters in our club, in our detecting club, and they'll come up to Tony and I, so because we consider ourselves relic hunters, although coins are fun to find sometimes.
Sometimes.
But yeah, they'll come and say, "How do you find all that old stuff?" And but yeah, and here's another cool thing. We found more than just cool trinkets in the ground and stuff. Like, I think we turned that one permission into a few more permissions. Like the lady next door came out and said, "You guys need to hunt," and we're like, "Yes, please!" Like, because all that area around there is going to be hot.
We've had success in the past, not necessarily hunting the one spot where we've identified our first intention, but across the street, slightly down the road, over here, over there. And kind of expand out, especially, I mean, for Colorado, that's what we have to do, and really anywhere. You think that you're detecting a troop camp. Expand out a little bit further. You never know. I mean, there could be something more around the corner, over behind this tree, over this hill. It's not just gonna be in that one spot. I mean, there's history everywhere where you least expect it, and the best thing about those are generally people are not going to have hunted those out. So you're going to find a virgin spot. And then you're gonna be the first one in there, and you're gonna get on the good stuff.
Right. Talking about getting on the good stuff.
Oh yeah,
we have got to bring our guest on with us because she has been detecting so long and has been on the good stuff so often. Like, I brought my weekly dirt show back on YouTube, and where I'm featuring everyone else's finds. I'm featuring other YouTube channels on little clips. And I had to fight myself from not featuring Gypsy's channel every weekend.
Right.
Like, I thought, I don't want I don't want to, overdo it here, but
We're not
yeah,
going to get sick seeing Gypsy. Come on.
yeah, a lot of great things, man. A lot of great
Absolutely.
things. Let's bring her on. Let's get this going. We've kept
Yep,
her
yep,
waiting long
yep.
enough.
Season 7, episode 11. Miss Gypsy Jules is joining us on RELICS Radio. You know her on YouTube, Facebook, the Incredible Treasure Vortex podcast.
Yeah.
And we're just so lucky. Our friend to the show, Miss Gypsy, we thank you so much for being on with us tonight on RELICS Radio.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's really sweet of y'all to invite me on here. And I'm
Yeah.
getting excited just listening to y'all talk about this weekend. I know that y'all had that bad weather in
Uh-huh.
Colorado. Snows all the time, and we don't even see snow most of the time here in Texas. And today it got up to about 75 degrees.
Oh,
What?
don't
That's
say
garbage.
that. Oh, that's ridiculous.
So I do understand the mud part though, because I got out last weekend and it had just produced just terrible rains the 3 days previous or prior to that, and I was just digging in all this mud and muck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if some people could see me right now, because my gloves would just be full of mud and water. I would dig down and the water would just fill up with this water, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I gotta let it dry out a little more. So um, I was
Mud's
supposed
tough, right? Mud is so tough because it just weighs down your boots. It gets on everything. It just sticks so sticky.
to fix, yeah. So yeah, I was supposed to go to Louisiana this weekend and do some Civil War relic hunting,
Mm.
Ooh.
and around an old plantation as well. But
Mm.
as luck would have it, it's been terrible rains there. So I've changed my course, and so I'm headed to South Texas this weekend. So right now I'm in Dallas, and I got to go today to mainly just mudlark down an old creek where there was an old dump not far from there, and so we were just mudlarking. Miss Burks, that's in chat, um, I call her Silver Streak. That's her nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. There you
Yeah.
go.
Anyway, we went to this creek today. She found a really cool bottle, embossed bottle today, and
Nice.
we both found a lot of marbles. I found a ring, my first ring of the new year. So,
Congratulations.
yeah, didn't even find it metal detecting. So that's always a cool bonus. But it was a fun day. It was gorgeous weather. Gonna get back out tomorrow, and then hopefully, this weekend head on down to South Texas to a really historical area there that I'm really excited. Been doing some research, and excited about some of that area. Really old part of Texas. So it'll be about 2 hours
Mm.
um, away from San Antonio. So everybody knows the history there.
Yeah.
So
A lot of history there.
With all
um,
your stuff going on, do you get a lot of opportunities to do the research and do that traveling, kind of the personal time? Because I know you're busy professionally with a lot of things and a lot of stuff in your bag here.
sometimes I do, but with a lot of other stuff that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, I've kind of mentioned just a little tidbit. I started on this project a couple of years ago, actually, but it's finally gaining a lot of traction. And so all of that, along with some other projects, are keeping me really busy. Like this last weekend, I went to Paracon, which is paranormal.
Mm.
Uh, and but what I've joined a group where we've been filming, and we've actually got some good traction on that thing, that project as well. Where what I'm doing is I'm working with the paranormal team that does the paranormal investigation, but I'm metal detecting the properties that they are, investigating for the paranormal part. But what I'm doing is trying to connect to the history of that property, and then some of the items that I find and dig up where they can use it in their investigation, either to find out more about the history or the people that live there, or possibly use it even as a trigger object in their
Oh, yeah.
so
That's, yeah. You got just gave me goosebumps thinking about it because that's a great idea. I mean,
so
uh,
we
I bet that goes well together, I think.
It really does. So I don't know. I think they just finally shared our poster that we did on my Facebook page. And I think I might have shared it in my zero discrimination group on Facebook as well. But they had a poster done up for the Paracon, and they had a booth as well. And they had one of my metal detectors laying out on the booth with, along with some of my finds and stuff. And some that I'd found at some of these locations as well as finds that I found, on my own. But what's neat is, as you all know, just like y'all's hunt this last weekend, uh, everything's connected to the history, connected to people that once walked in. So everything has energy as well. So I think it's something that hasn't really been delved into in the paranormal world. I don't consider myself a paranormal investigator, but I love the history, and I just think it's going to be neat to see how it all comes together and connects.
Mm.
Really, that.
Have you, have you ever had any paranormal experiences out while you've been digging in the woods or on the river by yourself, let's say, or in some remote locations?
Nothing too spooky. Like, I would say one particular incident. I was detecting along a river in a very old area up around Austin area where I used to live, and there was nobody out there. And it gets a little spooky when you're out there by yourself. And
Yeah.
I where and I kept looking around because thinking, I kept thinking I would hear noises, and I would look and nothing, nothing. And then all of a sudden I started smelling this old pipe. Like it smelled like that old musty, but it was definitely like an old pipe. I thought that was really interesting. But most of my paranormal experiences happened not, while not metal detecting, different types of stuff. But I've heard a lot of people have some, and I even had a friend that had brought home, he'd just been metal detecting, brought home some objects and had it, brought it into the room. And there, all of a sudden, this big orb comes up around from where he had laid his finds. And the ring comes on, or the camera, motion camera comes on and catches this orb, and it flies like right at the camera. So, there's energy attached to some of the items we bring home, and
How
all of
about you?
that is
How about you, Tony? You ever had any paranormal experiences besides the moose?
That wasn't paranormal.
Oh,
That
no,
was
yeah, that's
that was
very
in
real.
my face.
That's right.
um, no, you know what? I can't say that I have. I mean, other than I think you were talking about being in or around historical sites and getting that feeling. You were
oh,
talking about Gettysburg, about soldiers off in the woods, or feel like someone's watching, like something like that. And I don't know if I call that paranormal per se, but more of just a passion and appreciation for something, and to really kind of dive myself into that moment, which I think a lot of us that absolutely love history, I think we may experience something like that, but nothing like I set my metal detector down, or I went to grab my pinpointer out of my pouch and somebody else had grabbed it behind me or something. No, nothing like that.
right. Another thing though, have y'all ever had experience where you had a lot of weird interferences with your detector, and you just got that really odd feeling? All of a sudden you're out alone by yourself, and all of a sudden you kind of get a weird interference, and there's no power lines, nothing, nobody around. That's happened to me a few times, and I'm thinking it might have been paranormal because I just got that eerie, creepy feeling. Like,
Yeah, yeah. We had some friends over one time and they came over and we were kind of this birthday party or whatever. And at the end of the night, I ended up going to bed, and it's like in the middle of the night, I had to go to the bathroom. So I get up and it's all dark and I'm heading to the bathroom, and I finished and I'm heading back to bed, and all of a sudden there was just somebody in front of me, a figure just right there in front of me, and it shocked
Wow.
me, and I actually swung on the person. I
Oh
actually
my,
swung on it, and there
oh
was no
my.
one there. You know what it was? One of the party balloons had started to lose its helium and had floated down. It was just perfectly about my head level. And I ran into it with my face, and it just startled me so much. I was sure there was somebody standing right in front of me.
I tell you, I tell you one experience because this reminded me of it. But um, I was on a metal detecting trip with Garrett, and I'm alone, in my hotel room that night, and I was just about to drift off to sleep, and I'm laying kind of like at the edge of the bed, and then all of a sudden I hear this weird noise, and I look, and it looked like there was a man's face popping up out of the air. I can't even describe it, I can't explain it, but it looked like all of a sudden, like all of a sudden you see this
Oh, that would creep me out.
bat. It scared me so bad. I jumped up out of bed and I literally thought someone was in the room. And I even went, it was one of those hotels where, you've got the big hallways with rooms across the way, the doors to the different
Yeah.
rooms. I ran and opened the door and held it open because I literally thought someone was in the room. It was the freakiest thing.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, it was creepy.
It was
But
creepy.
yeah, that was on a medical trip.
Hey Ken,
So
I was thinking the same thing, and Tim Ildigger had said it in the chat. He said Whistle Pig will make that happen, and I was wondering if it was paranormal or if it was whiskey related.
For me, yeah, there may be a
It's
little bit of that involved. I don't know. Well,
couple
ask my
glasses of
wife.
the old Whistle Pig.
It shocked me though. It was so funny. And then I felt stupid, and I was like, oh, man. I didn't wake
yeah,
my wife up. The next morning I had to tell her this story. She just shook her head. Yeah, right. I'm punching balloons in the middle of the night. Uh, so you didn't know that about me, Tony, before we went and shared a room together and we were traveling out
No,
there to that event.
no.
go
Uh,
middle of the night, Tony, and go to
yeah,
the bathroom.
don't be getting up, man.
Yeah, he's gonna get up, start swinging on me.
Start swinging on him. Oh, that's so great.
Oh man.
Amanda Diggerdigaz in the chat. Amanda, how are you?
And,
Good to see you. Josh Fury in the chat. How you
hey,
doing? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Jackie, I think I watched that video, guys. I may have featured clips from didn't I feature clips from Jackie in my weekly dirt show where she found that walking SLQ? Oh man.
Yeah,
SLQ. Man, I'd only ever found one of those. Those things are hard to find. They
Yeah.
find.
Yeah, it
And
is.
she had an epic year last year, man. We went to Maine there to visit Amanda, and she got a trime. I'm still waiting for my trime.
right.
She got a trime, and she got a really nice large scent. I think it was her flowing hair or something like that. I can't remember. She can put it in chat, but and a seated dime that day. Her first seated too. I
Mhm.
mean, boom, boom. All her first year of metal detecting. So
Good
Mhm.
for her.
talk
That's
about
great.
bucket. I can't wait to see y'all's video. Y'all got me all excited.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while since we've gotten out, and two, had a really epic day like that and gotten all excited. There's so much fun, you just walk away from it and it stays with you for a while. And then, but now like everyone's itching to get out. Like we got all this weather coming in this weekend, but everyone's just like, I don't care. I'll put 4 coats on. Like, let's go. Everyone wants to go, and
Bundle
bundle up. Let's go. Yeah.
up. You might need a
So
pick
say
with.
again.
You might need a pickaxe though with the
It was
ground.
it was ridiculous, wasn't it, Tony?
Yeah, right when we started at 9, we felt that was a good time to start with the landowners. You don't want to go too early, and you still want to get as much time on site as possible. And I think for the first maybe an hour and a half, maybe Colorado frost line definitely got the best of it. It was pretty tough to dig. We've got some decent shovels. I know I saw that you didn't you get was it a predator shovel?
Oh
Yeah,
me?
Gypsy, you just
Yeah,
received
Gypsy. Yeah.
did. It's a little one. It's a Sparky, and I used it today when I was down at the creek and found a marble scraping there and the along the bed, and it's perfect size because it's only like this long,
Yeah.
and just it's great for dump digging or the what I like is you can just stick it in your backpack. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to go. You're on the move. It was tough though. I mean, once you got down past like 2 inches, you got past that frost line. The soil underneath was still pretty good,
Oh,
but
it was beautiful.
I had a uh, Samson shovel, and it was a Samson 30 inch, and gosh, it took both feet, all my weight, jumping up and down it just to get the first couple inches through, and
oh,
then you're like that, and you're digging hundreds of targets. It's like wow, it's
It wears
exhausting.
on you.
you're really sore the next day.
Oh my gosh,
You're
how are you
telling
doing? So,
me.
oh my gosh, I couldn't move. I was like, oh, yeah, Advil, I need some Advil.
Right.
But
I
it's worth it.
tomorrow from just that creek today. Oh, it does.
We
We do get our exercise.
Yeah. You still like digging in the creeks. Like that's when I think of you from getting to know you from your YouTube channel. That's what I think. Like Gypsy
Yeah.
loves playing in the creeks, and it's
Love it.
how do you find the locations in the creeks? It's just like anything, just a historic area, and there's stuff in those creeks.
A lot of it is the historical areas. And one thing that I've found out, it doesn't matter what town you live in, if there's a railroad track near the, especially a railroad track or a cemetery, anything near a waterway that goes into a downtown or at the edge of town, I always find number one, a dump, or I find if I don't find a dump, you still find old houses that were along there, and but inevitably, even if it's not a city dump, people just dump down there, and
Hmm.
so a lot of chances for old bottles, old coins, jewelry, you name it. So I've always been really good at just going along, following those creeks, and finding those areas where there's easy access. Especially look for the old bridges, like the place we were at today, just you could tell these big old wooden beams on the side. There was definitely an old bridge there of some sort at one time. I don't know if it was a railroad bridge or what, but if you follow the railroad track or your local creeks or rivers, you will find some of the old dumps. It's
Hmm.
in there.
We were
So
talking
just
about that today, Tony. One of our
Yeah.
new friends that we have out detecting with us. Turns out he lives in the same town I live in. It was crazy too. But he was talking about this old ditch in our town.
Yeah.
This old kind of famous ditch. As a matter of fact, it's on like a register of historic places. I mean, it was just the original irrigation ditch they brought in. I'm out here on the plains, so irrigation was huge in the early days when they first settled the colony out here. And this ditch has been around forever, and people settled along it, and now there's all these old houses from back in the day along these ditches, and he's pulling some amazing things out. And I'm like, what made you think to go in the ditches? And he goes, hey, people dump stuff in that all the time for years and years. So you just find houses that are backed up to the ditch. And I'm like, we got to go, man. We both live in the same town. We got to go ditch digging. We got to go discover those ditches and see what's in there.
Yeah, ditches too, culverts, those type things, rivers, creeks, every one of them. Just go. You got to think about it. Back then, they didn't have the trash pickup like we do today, so they just dumped it along those creeks and rivers and ditches and all that.
Yeah.
You'll
And it's
find it.
fun once the weather gets warm. I love getting in the water and stuff. I remember when Tony and I were doing some gold prospecting. That was
Eh.
so cool because it was like really hot out, but you're like half in and half out of the creek, and it's so refreshing, and it's like no better condition to go detecting in or looking for treasure than that kind
Man,
of condition.
yeah, and water and beaches, any kind of water hunting. I was commenting to Jackie today when we were in the water how calming it is, and just to hear that water flowing. and the sun was shining, and the water was clear as could be. We were finding marbles in the water. Um, it was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't ask for a better day.
That's great. Finding marbles is fun.
It is. And I just got a marble book for Christmas, so I'm
Oh yeah.
excited. Yeah. When I visited Amanda last time, my co-host, Digger to Guys, she had this really big marble book, and I found some interesting things in there about those. And we always get that question. I know y'all do too. Your metal detector finds marbles?
Yeah, what did it
No,
come up on your detector?
right?
Right.
Same with arrowheads. I'll find an arrowhead or a fossil. Your
Yeah,
metal detector finds those. You know,
yeah, yeah.
but you feel bad. No,
Right.
if it's surface find, or I found it while I was digging. So, but
Yeah,
those are fun.
you almost want to say, "Stop. Listen to what you just asked me. And do you want to ask me again the same
Yeah,
question?"
I think about it. Yeah.
um,
The TV show that Tony and I filmed a couple summers ago, didn't you have a didn't you have a didn't you have a moment with Mel B where she was like she found some wood and she's like, "What's this? I found it." And you're like,
Yeah.
"It's a piece of wood." Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty impressive you found that with a metal detector.
Yeah. I kind of
oh,
threw that in, kind of like, just in there. I don't think she caught it, but it did get put into the episode. And I was like, yeah, smart ass
Nice.
Tony.
Yeah, the editors caught it 100%.
oh, funny.
Yeah.
That is probably, does that happen to y'all when you bring someone along and they've never detected before, and they're digging through the dirt of your plug or whatever, and they're like trying to find what and they're like, "Oh, I found it," and it's a rock or a piece of
Yeah. Yeah.
all excited. And I'm like, "No, let's use this pinpointer here. Let's use this one."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I brought somebody at just the beginning with me one time and gave them some gloves and they were pulled out a plug and I go, it's got to be in there somewhere. And so picked up the plug and same thing we've all probably done once at least. Detecting and getting this beep and can't find it, can't find it. I'm like, wait a minute, are you wearing a ring? I forgot to tell you. Take your ring off. I'm sorry.
Didn't that
oh
just
God.
happen this weekend? What, didn't Jeffrey do that? Or
Yeah,
was that
Jeffrey
you?
did. Yeah, it wasn't me.
Okay.
I wear a rubber ring. I've been wearing it forever. As a matter of fact, my mother, who we just moved in with us here, she's like, "What do you have on your finger? Is that your wedding ring?" I go, "Kinda. It represents my wedding ring, but it's rubber. Why do you have a rubber ring on your hand?"
I-
And
I've
here's the story, Ma.
I've had to teach and train myself to use my pinpointer in my left hand because of my ring. Like originally, you would use your dominant hand, and so I was using my pinpointer here. Yep, you pick up the dirt and you're going through it, and so then I was like leaving my ring at home, and I didn't want to wear it, or I wanted got the silicone ring or whatever, and I'm just like, how about you just use it in your left hand instead, and that way you won't be. I mean, you still kind of pick it up if your hand slides down or whatever, but yeah, oh,
Right.
I was doing it.
We've all done that. I know. I think, and that's kind of what I think I mentioned it in my book, but somewhere in the beginning of the book, I hope I did. I'm pretty sure I put it in there. Did you
We
get a chance? Pretty quick read, actually, especially for someone that's been metal detecting.
I've got the book right here. It's called Just Digging: A Beginner's Guide to Metal Detecting, written by Gypsy Jules. What's
look at
missing out of the book, I forgot to tell you. In my book right here, I don't have any autographs,
that.
so I don't know. Maybe I got a defective one, but
You're gonna have
no.
to
But
fly out here and sign it for him, Gypsy.
I will.
what a great! I mean, just it's not. It is basic, like you said. It's, I mean, a beginner's guide to metal detecting, but it covers so many topics um, across the board. I mean, you didn't leave anything out of it, even though that's how thick it is. You left nothing out of this thing. Holy cow!
Yeah, and I want to ask you, Gypsy. Let's start. Like, what made you think of writing a book? Like,
There
how
you
long
go.
ago did that idea take shape?
Um, I'd actually started writing a different book first, not the one that I just started. Um, Sorry, I'm
You
getting ahead
got,
of my.
you've already got
But
another one in the works.
I just started a new book. This one will be more history based. But, as detectorists, we get asked all the time, hey, how do I get started?
Mhm.
People ask you about what machine should I pick? What, they ask you those tons of questions. And it's so nice now to just be, to say, hey, guess what? Go, go check out my book. And even after I just published it, I got another question a few days ago. Someone popped in, and then I answered their question, but I still told them after I answered the question, I say I cover more of that in my book. And like you said, Tony, I tried to make it as basic as I could with just, like number one, do this. Number two, do this. Really try to make it as basic and like you said, because I thought if I made it thicker
Yep.
and bigger in depth too, well, number one, you're going to lose somebody's attention. We all know that, even with the video. Like you're saying, you're editing this video and it's 24 minutes long. We know that people's attention span is this long, and I think it's the same sometimes depending on what you're reading too. People just want to get in, get out. They want the basic. Hey, tell me what I need to know. And so I just tried to go those bullet points and just
Mhm.
say, hey, if you don't have a metal detector already, maybe you've been gifted one. Maybe maybe it all depends on your budget. That's what, me selling metal detectors for the Digger's Den, I get asked all the time, hey, what would you recommend starting out? Well, what's your budget? Because what I recommend, they may only have 150 bucks, where I would say more mid-range would be a good one to start out with, depending on where they're going. So I tried to, touch on that in the book as well. So I hope I did that. I hope I accomplished it. Um, I'm looking back now and I'm like, maybe I should have put this or maybe I should have put that. But I think I covered most basics.
How long did the whole process take you?
It really didn't take all that long. Once I got started, uh, and what's funny is today, in the world of technology, I wrote it on my phone.
Wow.
Did
You
you
know
did
how
you dictate it? Did you do voice to text or something?
I didn't do that. I might have on a few sentences, and then you know how that goes. You have to go back and with my accent.
Yeah. It drives me nuts sometimes. Like it should be so easy, but yeah.
Right. I basically pretty much wrote the whole thing on my phone. And part of that, like you said, I think it would have taken me longer to write it, if I wouldn't have had my phone. But how often are we sitting there? Like I would get an idea. Oh, I need to cover this, and then once I got that written out, then I'd arrange it and try to arrange it in the right order of, okay, first you need this, and then you need this, and then you need the gear, and then you need this, you know, to spell it out for people. Because like we were just talking about, people make those little mistakes beginning. They think that you can pick up a marble or an arrowhead or something with a detector. They're not thinking.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is common sense. And I know that when we first started, like with me 25 years ago, I didn't have a pinpointer. So
Hmm.
I don't even think I covered that. No, I did. I think I covered it in my book, that you can, pass something over the coil and it'll go off. But a lot of people don't even think about those
Hmm.
things. That's how I had to dig targets back then.
I
And
started
I didn't.
just like that. I didn't, I went with the basic Ace 250 was my first machine, and I didn't have the pinpointer. I ended up getting the black Garrett pinpointer because it was
I,
cheaper.
I
And I
started.
started out until I got the pinpointer, or able to get, $100 or whatever over the
Right.
coil.
Right. And, and So yeah, I think that's the main reason why I thought a book would be good. And I know there's already beginning guides out there, and I don't know what they cover. Um, I didn't really research that. I didn't want to go have to buy all the beginner model books on the market. I just thought, hey, why don't do it? Why don't I do it from my point of view,
Mm-hmm.
my experience, and give a little bit of my background, and then how it's evolved.
Did
So
you have a publisher or did you publish yourself?
I
Did you have
self
an editor?
I self-published. I did have an editor, and I had a graphic designer that did my cover, my my cover, my jacket, book jacket, and did my layout. And he did an amazing job. That was my most expensive part of the book. So of course I was out that money, um, taking a
Mm-hmm.
chance on that, but I felt like it was worth it to spend that little extra money to get a good artist,
Yeah.
that done a ton of books, that knows what they're doing. What I had heard is I'd heard through the grapevine from other people that have published books, um, that if you go through a publisher, sometimes they want even more money. They want like $8,000 to $10,000. Some do, not all. Some offer you money, um, to publish it, but then they, on top of that, by the time you get a cut of your profit, you're making like nothing,
Pennies, yeah, pennies. Yeah.
dime or a quarter per book. And so I found out that Amazon was the way to go for self-publishing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. And
What'd you think of that process of
it
actually putting it out, a published book out to Amazon?
with Amazon, the process, it had its advantages and its disadvantages, because my book kept getting kicked back with issue. Um, and I think part of that is, they've also, just like anything, they've got robots checking a lot of this. So everything had to be, lined up perfect. And the guy that did my graphics, one thing about him is all the books that he had ever done, which was over like 300 books, he had never done one on Amazon. So
Ah,
I think he was getting a little frustrated too with the process, but because I really thought it was going to be published sooner. So that was a little nerve wracking, but once I got through that, it felt good to get it done. Um, there's still something that I'm not happy with, but I'm not going to mention.
you're right.
You're your own
It's
worst critic, though. Come on,
yeah.
you're always going to double back on it, and
Well, it was something to do with the jacket, and well, um,
it looks great.
Yeah.
I did it. But anyway, reason why I kept getting kicked back, something minor, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I just settled right now just so I can publish it, and we'll go back later. I'm already thinking about, Garrett's supposed to be coming out with some new equipment this year, and I thought
Mm.
I have a revised version, this year with the new equipment once that comes out, and I can go ahead and revise a few things that I wanted to tweak and add a few things that I wanted to tweak. And I already have my second edition.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And you learned a lot this first time. So the next time, your next book in progress right now,
right.
hopefully will go even smoother.
And that will be a lot thicker because it'll be a lot more writing instead of like the bullet points that I did in this book, where I just like do this and then did a little, note on what to do or what not to do. I tried to do it like on the mistakes that I made back in the day, where I made mistakes, just like what we were talking about with the ring earlier. I tried to don't do what I do what I didn't do, what I learned,
Right.
learn from my mistakes, and hopefully that'll help somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always interested. I think Patty in the chat too talked about it, about children's book too. I've had a whole series, children's book series in my head for a long time. Matter of fact, I've written a couple of books, haven't edited them, haven't done anything else with it. But
Oh,
I've developed the idea for far enough that I've actually written a couple, and for real little kids, or for real little kids. But
oh,
had an idea come to my own. I got to do something with this idea, and kind of
well,
vetted it out. So.
if you want to take that next step and get them published, let me know, and I had somebody help me kind of guide me on what to get it published on Amazon, and I'll be glad to help Ken.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. I'll probably take you up on that if I ever decide to pull the trigger. It's a big step, right? Because
It
like in
is.
video, you're putting yourself out there for the world to see, but a book is just another thing, that you're putting yourself out there all the time.
Right. Never in a million years would I have thought I'd be writing a book. I never thought I would be. But, it's kind of like going back all the way back to when I very first got started metal detecting and I'd moved to Galveston and I would have people walk up to me on the beach and they would see me dig up something, and they'd be like, oh, where do I get one of those detector, like a machine like you've got. And that's the whole reason why I opened up a metal detecting store when I lived in Galveston was because of that. And it's kind of those things that keep you going and in motion. And I guess that's kind of why I decided to do the beginner's guide because that's what I get asked the most.
Sure. Yep. Now you've got the first book done, and of course we're all creators, whether it's videos or audio or books or drawings or movie scripts. Or I mean, we all have that passion and that common bond of wanting to create. And now, I mean, I know things are rolling around in your head for future books and other things that you've got going on. Like you said, this next one possibly down the road, thicker, more in depth, more history, more details, kind of learning from the first one, a beginner's guide, and now we can really get into expressing and sharing out the knowledge that you have with history and metal detecting.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do more, hopefully, in the next book. In the beginning of this book, um, like, I don't know if you read it yet, but I give a little bit of my history. Not the forward, that's what Mark wrote, but the author's note, you
Yep.
know. And here I give just a little brief history about, when I was a kid with my brother and we would make these treasure maps, and out of brown paper bags, and we'd take, these Sharpies, permanent marker, and make these maps and stuff. It takes you back, and that's kind of the thrill of metal detecting anyway. Is kind of brings you back to that exciting thing as a kid. And that's one thing that I know I only kind of really express that in the beginning of the book. But in the next book, what I want is, and even sometimes I've noticed this in my videos, I'll get so hyper focused on what I'm doing and the history of that object, or that I won't let that fun side, how you get, like when Ken dug
Yeah.
his this weekend, you get that excitement and have that excitement as a kid. I can remember, Tony, when you were detecting with your son years ago when you first started your channel, and I remember watching your video and just the excitement, the camaraderie y'all had going on, and that's what I want people to feel, and hopefully bring that out in history too, because learning can be exciting, and what we do to express that and that excitement. Because I know when I was a kid and I had to study for a history test, and it was all in 1492, da, 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 da. It was all, you had to memorize all these dates and stuff.
Right.
That I hated history in school because I had to just remember all these dates and these names of these people that. So um, I hope that, I can bring out more of that in this book, and that childlike excitement, that we get when we're out digging something really cool.
Yeah. That sounds good. And you were telling me on your current book right now, which you can all go find on Amazon.com, as a matter of fact. Tony just put the link in the chat. We also have the link down below in the description here at the podcast. So if you're looking for the link for it, you can find it both places in the comment section, also down in the description. But weren't you telling me that the secret is on page 35? Isn't that the secret? Just the secret to everything, the secret to metal detecting is on page 35.
Yep,
It's just got to be on page 35. Perfect.
There it is.
So,
that's the secret.
Yep. You guys got to get out there and get that book and look on page 35 for the secret. And then send me a message and let me know what you think of that secret. And her next book, you know what her third book's going to be, Tony?
No.
She's told me privately off air. She told me that her third book is going to be called Digging with Tony and Ken, a Colorado adventure.
Oh, I like it.
So she's going to call it.
I like it.
A movie. That's going to be a documentary too.
That's it. Yeah,
who do I get to play?
Haven't heard that yet. That's great. Harrison Ford's going to play me.
Oh.
Gypsy, you got to play yourself. I don't think anybody can play you.
Yeah.
There's no substitute. How's it been your experience being on TV? You've done some experience. You have done some appearances on some television shows and been a part of productions. And I know you got more stuff going on and always kind of looking, opportunities coming at you and stuff. But in the past, like the shows you've appeared on, like tell us about that kind of experience. Like, was it what you thought it would be? And was there any fallout from being on the show? Like, is it led into other things? Good fallout. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of good things came from it because, for number one, it was a reality show, so they're showing the reality of what we do. You sometimes don't find exactly what you're hoping to find. That's most of the time. You don't always have those epic digs like y'all found last weekend. But I think a lot of good came from it because I get contacted now. Now, if I just had the money, I got to make some money so I can just afford traveling.
Right.
You provide some traveling, through the year. I got to go to the Netherlands. That was really, really a thrill for me.
And I really want to ask you questions about that too, but yeah.
That was pretty epic. So I'm really grateful and thankful for Garrett for that. But there's only so much time because we're all busy doing other things besides detecting all the time. And I get people that'll message me, it must be nice to get out every day. And I'm like, oh, I wish.
All right.
I wish I could get out every day. But there's been a lot of benefits because it's definitely reached people, from all over, that I would have probably never been able to reach through my YouTube channel. And I get messages even still, like the other day, the Freddie Dodge show aired again. And I got a message, from that. And I know not too long ago, I think one of the Beyond Oak Island episodes aired, one of the ones that I was in. And I got a lot of leads to more properties from these shows. So that's a big benefit right there, is meeting people. And in fact, when I go to South Texas, to this historical area this weekend, I would have never met those people came to my hunt that I put on this last year. And they know, of course, they know this person and this person knows this person that owns this property of 150 acres of land, that's got all this history on it. Come on over. And then it's finding the time and the money to get out there and do it. But it definitely has opened a lot of doors. And then it also has got my eye on, I've actually done a lot of pitch decks for some TV shows this year, and I'm finally gaining some really good traction and learning more about that industry and
Mm.
what to do. And I've got a lot of contacts now with that. So working on 3 different projects, film projects right now, getting that. So fingers crossed that that's all coming together, because I'd love to talk to y'all about one particular thing coming up. That's probably the one that's going to happen the soonest. And then the other thing that I'm working on, of course, we discussed it earlier in the show, the paranormal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So y'all know any haunted areas too,
Oh
that
yeah. Crazy.
this history,
Absolutely.
because I think a lot of times we can't always get those permissions, but it's easier to get it with the TV show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. My hallway is haunted. Those damn balloons come down and get right in my face. I think there's a ghost pushing it down just to give me some
I,
bad time.
I think so.
Yeah. But let me
Actually,
add, go ahead,
I
Tony.
wanted to say, you had brought up Colorado. I mean, up in Estes Park, the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah.
I think that would be fantastic. Obviously, it is a well-known hotel. I don't know if you know anything about. I mean, it was in the movie. What was the movie, Ken?
The Shining.
The Shining. It was the hotel from The Shining, and allegedly, I mean, they take you on actual tours inside, and they do night tours and things like that. Obviously, we haven't been able to metal detect the grounds or anything like that, but hey, you never know. I mean, I know somebody who's got a TV show that does the paranormal stuff, so hey.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. I mean, even to me, it's not about keeping those fines anyway, because Lord knows, y'all probably have the same problem as I do. Where do you put all this stuff? So I donate a lot to museums and give it to property as well. So um, at the Paracon this last weekend, I had these people come up that own a really old hotel that's haunted, that they give these ghost tours all the time. And they asked me, before they even told me that they own this, they asked me, what do you usually do about the fines? And I said, it really depends on the property owner. We usually go have a verbal agreement. I just usually do a verbal, but I mean, it's best to get a written if you can.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually do a verbal agreement, hey, if we find stuff, you can keep it all. I told them, I said right then and there, I said, sometimes I detect a property and people will go, I don't even care I don't even want to know. I love those because they
Yeah.
don't care about what you find. If you
Yeah.
find gold coins, oh well,
Yeah. Yeah. England's like that, Tony, right? Like Tony, you
Yes.
talked with one of the landowners directly. We were out there on a tour, 7 days of detecting, and Tony got to talk with one of the landowners. Usually you don't see them, but this is like a sheep ranch. And they're like, "Hey, have a blast. We're glad you guys are enjoying yourself. Like, we're not looking for that stuff. We're raising
Yeah.
sheep.
they're right.
Yeah.
We're raising sheep. Glad you
Exactly.
guys are enjoying it."
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's what I told these owners. I said, if y'all want to, if the property owner wants to keep them, I'll be glad to even make a little Riker case
Yep.
with all the display, and they can put it in their house or on display or whatever. And then they said, oh well, here they gave me like this little card of their hotel that they own. Well, we would love for you to come out. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah. Um, that
Were you,
sounds really cool. So that property you're talking about in Colorado, whew, think
Yeah.
about it there. How old is it? Do you know the building?
I don't. I can look it up real quick, but it. I mean, it is very well known, obviously in Colorado. And then if anybody talks about, The Shining or things like that, there's always that. There's a following just for The Shining.
Right.
I just put in Stanley Hotel and I see
1909.
the Stanley Hotel murders, Stanley Hotel room 217, Stanley Hotel history, Stanley Hotel haunted, Stephen
Oh,
King, Stanley Hotel. So I mean, this is right up your alley, and that's the first thing I thought of.
that would
Yeah.
be perfect. And yeah, we need to really talk about that for the show, and then us three could detect it, and we can give the property owner. I don't care if they want to put it on display. Just think about having your fines on display there. Hey,
Right.
us out at this old famous hotel, you know.
Here's a warning that's on their website for the tours. They do day tours and night tours. Children under the age of 8 are not permitted on the day tours, and children under the age of 10 are not permitted on the night tours.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means, but it's world famous for sure. In 1909, 150 or yeah, 1909 is when they said it was built. I mean, it's one of these
It's
keynote
incredible.
magnificent hotels. It's not like a little hotel. It's like a palace hotel. It's huge and it's in one of the most beautiful places on earth in Estes Park, surrounded by the Rocky Mountain National Park, surrounded by the Rocky Mountains,
Oh my,
just and the glaciers and all kind. It's so wonderful visually and imagery, you know what I mean? It's amazing.
oh
It's
my
amazing.
God.
So
I just put
Wow.
a link to one of the images. If you guys click on that, if you don't know about the Stanley Hotel, there's the link in the chat there, and yeah, it's pretty dramatic.
yeah.
Well, man, that sounds like we got something else to talk about too.
Cool, cool. So with all the exposure on TV, man, that's a much larger audience.
Sure.
You know, putting yourself out there, exposing yourself to a much larger audience, that had to be nerve-wracking to think that you were doing that. Well, YouTube's
Well,
one thing, but TV,
yeah,
national
as a
TV.
woman, yeah, and because, you know, and we all know this from editing and videos, it's like we we videoed and they would do like these long drawn out where they would ask you all these questions and they may only use like one question, one snippet of that whole interview, you
Mhm.
know, where they do like a 2 hour interview.
Yeah. And
And
and people are so desperate for news too. Like, doesn't the media like twist things and distort things and stuff all the time? Like, have you had any experience with the media kind of?
yeah, oh man, yeah. So, funny thing that you mentioned there. So, one the hosts of Beyond Oak Island, do y'all know Maddie Blake? If
Well,
you've ever,
Yeah.
well, you two are dating, aren't you?
yeah, we're dating apparently.
We didn't know how to bring that up,
We didn't. We
Gypsy.
were going to try to ask you about that. We didn't quite know. You walked right into that one.
I remember one day my son came to me and he goes, "Mom, look, I googled Gypsy Jules and look at all the stuff that came up." And then I saw that and I was like, "What in the world?" And I just couldn't stop laughing. So I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to Maddie Blake. He died laughing.
Oh my gosh.
So we did great screen chemistry, screen chemistry, but I don't know what my wife would say.
Right, right, right. I mean, stuff like that, I'm sure, could get out of hand. And you always wonder, like, where do they come up with this stuff? You know?
Gosh, I don't even know. That was funny. Oh,
It's funny.
I actually we were prepping for this, and I wanted to kind of get up to date on things that you had been doing that I wasn't aware of, and I texted that over to Ken. I said, "Did you know Gypsy's dating Maddie?" And he goes, "No, I hadn't heard that one." I said, "Oh, well, it's on Google. It has to be
It has to
true."
be true. So we need to ask her about that when she comes on.
that is hilarious. Y'all found that.
Uh,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
we did a deep dive just to get the dirt on Gypsy.
oh yeah. Wait till you see some of the questions we have coming up. Oh, no.
There's no telling find on the net, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about Holland because
Okay.
that's first how to come about, then tell us about the trip, and tell us about the fun, and tell us about the fines, and just your overall experience. Because I've always wanted to go to Holland, right? Not a place you normally think of, but I would love to go to Holland.
Well, first of all, Garrett, before COVID hit, they had asked me to go to Italy on there, and I was like super excited. And then that very week that I got that, and they're like, "You have your passport," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready." I was getting all psyched up, and they were telling me about the previous year that they'd went to Italy, and they got to detect on this private property where this old vineyard was, and they got to detect in this old vineyard. And I was like, "Oh man," thinking that how your brain starts going, you're imagining being over there and all the cool things. and then COVID hit, and they shut down Italy, shut down all that. So it'd been a couple of years, and I kept thinking, man, I want to go, to the UK. I want to go on one of these, trips. And then so I get this call, and it says, hey, you interested in going to the Netherlands with us to this hunt they have in the Netherlands? We hadn't been since pre-COVID. And I was like, well, yeah. And what's interesting about Holland is on my dad's side, our my dad was adopted, so Woods is like my maiden name, but my was really Sturdivant, which is Dutch, which they did some uh, genealogy. Family member did some genealogy, and so supposedly I'm a distant cousin of Vincent van Gogh.
Oh, really?
That's
Wow.
shocked.
What? Oh, that totally shocked you, I bet. 'Cause look
Yes.
at your background. Look what, you know what I mean?
And
Crazy.
I'm an artist. I haven't chopped my ear off
Yeah, I was
yet.
gonna say pull the hair back. I don't know.
You
Yeah,
should have got
yeah.
both
There's
ears.
no
Okay.
resemblance there.
But seriously, so I've always been kind of just interested. I just love the old windmills over there, and my aunt is an artist as well. And she's got this painting in her house that I just every time I walk in, I'm like, oh, looking at it, and it's of this Dutch windmill and the little stream by it. And so I was just like, oh man, the Netherlands and so I was really excited about going. Went over there with Tim and George and Steve Moore from marketing department with Garrett, and got to meet some amazing people. And then Digger Dawn flew in,
Yeah.
um, and she's if you watch my videos,
Isn't she a hoot? I mean, isn't she a hoot?
she is a hoot. And that's what I was saying earlier. I've noticed how rigid I've gotten in my videos, and I got to get back to my old fun, childlike, you know, because that's the way I am. I can be so goofy sometimes that maybe you wouldn't want to be around me, but
I I think the two of you girls together are absolutely a riot.
it was so fun with her. And if you watched our thing where we walked in, when we first walked in the hotel, they had these nice Dutch chocolates and desserts. And we're like, oh, let's get one. And so we wait till the last day. And so we're in the van, and the guys are in behind us, if you watch that video. And one guy had this rude comment like, that's disgusting. Don't show your mouth with food in your mouth. But we're just being goofy. We're sitting there, hey,
Right, right.
but we had so much fun, and she is she's a hoot. That's why people love watching her, is because she doesn't care. She's just out there having fun, and that's what life's about anyway. Let's just have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely comes through. I mean, so what'd you think of Holland? Like, what'd you think of the people there? What'd you think of tell us about the permission you guys got to go hunt and some of the things
So
you found?
yeah, the permission when we first got there, we actually got to go to a previous field that they had hunted like the year before or something. But how those fields are. They plow them every year,
Yeah.
so new stuff. And we found a bunch of old coins. I haven't even cleaned up all my coins yet. So I couldn't believe how many coins I found.
Really? Mm.
I didn't find any silver. Um, I was really hoping for a silver. And then it was funny because I was talking to Ringy before the trip, and I said, what about gold? Anybody ever find any gold coins over there? And he said, literally, he was on this path, and this guy crossed him right in front of him the previous time that they were there, and dug a gold coin like a couple feet from him. He was like, he would have been in line with that gold coin.
Oh gosh.
But
Uh,
my favorite find, and you probably, if you watch my video, I found a barrel tap. And upon research, one of the guys there, people were so friendly. Oh my gosh. I thought people were friendly in Texas. People were friendly in the Netherlands. I mean, gosh, I felt like I had a new family there.
No kidding.
Um, one guy walked up and I was showing him my barrel tap that I found. And he's like, does this quick deal. And he's like, I find these all the time, but yours, you see this emblem? And he was showing me the emblem on there. And he showed me an emblem. It was from the 14 to 1500s. And I was just like, what was it 15?
Wow.
14 to 1500s, I think. And I was just, I mean, you just can't find anything there. So that was like my favorite find. And then, not to mention the coins that I still haven't even cleaned up. Even some of the tiny coins that I found, I can even read some of the writing on them, but I haven't even cleaned them up.
Wow.
Well, after I got back to the Netherlands, I was here and here and here. And so sometimes you know how that is. You're so busy that you just don't have time. So I went ahead and put the video out without cleaning them and still hadn't gotten around to it.
Would you go back?
Oh man, yes. Oh yes. Oh, and what was really cool, we got to go into Germany while I was there because I mean it's right where we were. It was right. I mean the border. So why not go into Germany? But the people that hosted the hunt that we were doing on the Koister, I think it's pronounced Koister metal detectors over there. And so they have a store in Holland, and then across the border, they had another store. So we got to go to both of their storefronts. And anyway, the one in Germany, I was just like, I met a guy there that Iron Mike, I think his name is, he goes by, I think you can find him on Instagram. He may have a YouTube channel as well, but Iron Metal Mike, and really amazing guy because most of these people, you know, they speak multiple languages. So he can speak Dutch, he can speak American, and he can speak German, and you know all of this. And I'm like, wow, multi-talented, and he digs, you know, World War II stuff all the time over there. And I was just amazed with some of that stuff that they find over there. So being right there in Germany, that was super cool. So now I can say I've been to Germany too.
That's awesome. It's Iron Mike Metal Detecting. He's over on YouTube. 80,000 subs, only 70 videos. And yeah, join me in my metal detecting adventures on former World War II battlefields across Europe.
That is so popular, especially if you're in a site where you can actually find some of those relics.
Yeah.
That is so popular.
And he was just so friendly. It was funny when I met him that first day I got there, we were out in that field. Him and everybody went out. We went and ate back at the hotel. And after, I was just so eager to get back in the field. It was dark. And he's like, I'll take you, Gypsy. And it was funny when he came walking up. Of course, he knew who I was, and I didn't know who he was. And that's always, that's just the way it goes. But he's like, oh, Gypsy, nice to meet you. And he was just so friendly. And he took me back out. And that's when I found that thing that night, or I would have never found it from the 1500s.
Wow.
Barrel tap. I didn't even know what I had. I just knew I had some cool relic. I was like, oh, I found something, Mike, but no, it was just too dark. We tried the video, but it's just too dark. So,
yeah. Somebody said something in the chat. We're looking at the chat. Let me see. I was looking. Where is it, Tony? Oh, yeah. Tim, Ill Digger.
Oh,
yeah. He wanted to know that he made a statement. He said, you know, Gypsy does an awesome British accent. Can you do a Dawn impersonation for us right now?
Thanks, Tim. It's been a while. Let me see. So another thing that a lot of people don't know about me in college, so my major was art, fine arts, but also I did some acting. And so I love doing theater. So growing up, I used to love to do accents. And I don't know if I can. Gosh, not on the spot. Let's see. Oh, blimey.
Hold
Give
on,
me,
we're recording this. Give
Yeah,
you
oh,
something
give
to
yeah, I got
say.
it.
What does Digger Dawn say? She always says,
what she said.
she says Diggy a lot for her little
Her
dog, and
dog.
who does she call her? Maxie. She says Maxie. Oh, Maxie, let's grab Diggy and go do some digging. How's something like that?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I can do kind of a real Cockney accent, or I used to. Gosh, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Put her on the
You
spot. Way to
right on
go,
the
Tim.
spot. No prep.
I
Off
mean,
the
it's a,
cuff.
I get tickled at Dawn going, "Oh, look, it's a ringy thingy dog."
That was it.
That's perfect. You nailed that.
A ringy thingy.
That is perfect.
The accent. Oh gosh, I love it.
Yeah,
That's
I would love.
great.
I'd love to go over and meet her sometime. I've been watching her for a long time, and
Did y'all see the
it's
video where she came to Texas and then with
yeah,
Anna and she'll say, "Oh, I'm in Texas, but we're going to Louisiana."
yeah. You lose Anna.
You call it
Her,
English lady, and we're in Louisiana, and it's hotter than I forget what she would say.
it's
What a
funny.
good
Is like
time.
I think about a month after that, like she had gone to Texas and I'd gone over to the UK, and about
Uh-huh.
a month after that, a producer called me and said, "Hey, would you come on this UK radio show
Uh-huh.
to talk about metal detecting in the States? Because we're kind of doing a show about these guys that got busted trying to sell this horde on the border and got arrested and they're facing jail time and everything." And she goes,
Oh,
"You'll be appearing with this person over here named Digger, Digger Dawn." And I was like, "Well, yeah, let's do it." So we were both on this UK radio show talking about metal detecting. And we just
wow.
had a blast because we knew each other from YouTube, and we just and the host was like, "Yeah, you guys just go. Just feel free to keep jabbering on because we were, isn't that right, Don? Yeah, Ken, that's right. Yeah, no, blah, blah, blah." And we just go back and forth. And they're like, they say, "You guys know each other." I go, "Yeah, we know each other from YouTube." Matter of fact, I was just over in the UK and Dawn was just over in Texas. And she's like, "Yeah, that's right. I was just over in Texas." And she kind of told the story of being over there. And it was a lot of fun. Like it was a lot of fun. I could have talked to her for hours. We need to get her on this show. We haven't got her on this show
Oh
yet.
Y'all
gosh.
get her on the show. We did Amanda and I, we did a show while we were in Louisiana, and got a chance to listen to it on the Treasure Vortex because it was Dawn and I, and here's Steve driving down this dirt road, and we're in the back seat of this Garrett whatever van we were in, and we're going down this dirt road, going I don't know how fast, and we're trying to hold the phone, and Digger Dawn and I are trying to do this podcast while all this other stuff is going on, but it was a lot of fun, and we did accomplish it. So she was our guest that night, and Dawn and I were in the back seat of this Garrett vehicle. It was a hoot. It was a lot of fun.
Like I
So
think you two together are just an absolute riot. I mean, not only just the personalities, but there's probably some incredible stories you guys have created. Yeah, just two great people. My gosh.
oh, thank you. Well, what I love about Dawn is when she does her little dances, her silver dances, and all that. And so, yeah, while she was in Texas at the Garrett Hunt, uh, we did one of her dances and how she speeds it up. And that's one thing I can't do. This Texas girl, uh, I have
You
two legs.
can't, yeah, you can't do or do a little two step.
Not very good.
I thought they teach that in the schools and like make you
Uh,
audition for it before they let you graduate.
well, we might have to. We'll head down to Texas and bring some whistle pig. I bet it gets better.
A little whiskey, it gets a little better.
Uh,
Uh,
and yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, she is a hoot. I'm ready to go to England, like where y'all went. When y'all go on your next trip, let me know.
Yeah.
Um, I might.
Yeah, I know. Well, American Digger Magazine's putting together some
Hmm.
trips. They've been really coming out. I know Jeff Lubert just contacted me. He said, "Hey,
Yeah,
man, April, you want to go in April?" And I was like, I can't do it."
yeah, I couldn't do it that soon either with some of the stuff I've got going on right now and finances, unfortunately. But 'cause I just put a lot of money in on my book. Um, but he had asked Jeff had asked me about going in April, and I'm like, but that one was only like a 3 day trip, and if I go and I'm
Yeah.
spending that much, I think I want a whole week. And I know Il Digger Tim has been over there many times. He might be somebody we could pick his brain um,
Yeah.
on some trips.
Yeah, you definitely need a
Absolutely.
week.
Hmm.
And then if you want to do touristy stuff, you got to add it on top of that. Tony and I were beat. We did 7 days of detecting and 2 days of touristy stuff, where all we did was walk and
Yeah.
climb and walk, and it was crazy. But we sure enjoyed ourselves. We sure had a blast.
Now, if I was in London doing the touristy stuff, I think I would enjoy that. But I would enjoy all the touristy stuff. But you know, you know how we are as diggers. I would be digging,
Yeah.
but that's touristy enough for me.
Yeah. As soon as we got out to where we dig over there in Colchester, that was more
Oh,
our speed, man. It was
yeah.
beautiful rolling
Ah,
land with the
It was insane.
hedgerows and old cottages, and just everyone's
I
just
guess
pleasantly, wonderfully friendly, and it was great. It was so
Just the
cool.
history. Just digging in the states. We enjoy it because every target, you don't know what it could be. You don't know what it can dig up. Over in England, forget about it. I mean, it's you take what we have over here in America and multiply it by 100 or 1,000 because yeah, you
I,
don't know what it could be, but it could be 2,000 years old. I mean,
yeah,
it
Right.
just you legitimately could be in a field where you dig up something that's 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
it's just it's mind blowing.
Well, hey, we're looking at about 8 minutes left. Why don't we talk a little bit about what's to come for Miss Gypsy Jules here?
Yeah, what's
What do you have on the horizon that you can talk about? I understand there's some things you
yeah.
can't,
All
but
right.
like, what about trips? So, what about the events? You gonna do
Okay.
another birthday event this year, type of thing, or
Figure out with the TV stuff coming up. I've kind of got to figure out what my schedule is first. And so, as of upcoming close events, um, I was going to do the Oklahoma one, but I heard that just canceled.
yeah,
Um, I'm doing Dig Stock in North Carolina in 3 weeks. I'm doing Missouri, upcoming hunt in Missouri. I think I shared that on my Facebook page. I can't remember where at in Missouri, but I'll share it again. I'll probably share it in my zero discrimination group. And it's possible I might have talked it on about it on our podcast, but I'll be going to that hunt as well. I think KG and Ringy will be there for that one. That one I'm looking forward to. It's a natural hunt,
Hmm.
so um, I I I enjoy the seated hunts, but you know, it's about the history for me, and I know y'all too. Um, I did really enjoy putting on my hunts, and I was going to try to do one this spring, but it just was really not enough time to plan. So after doing my last hunt, and so I'm thinking of the fall if I can squeeze one out in the fall, and it's just really going to depend on my schedule and what's going on. Um, and then the other thing, I know they're in Lano, Texas coming up. Um, I want to say that's March, I think March 23rd, somewhere in there. There is a treasure show in Lano, Texas. Um, and not only the treasure show, but they do have some seated hunts with some great prizes for that as well. And I will be at that with a booth, and I'll be signing books there. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's all I had right now because I don't want to overbook.
Just that, huh?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Then you got to squeeze coming to Colorado in there. You got to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I should go to that Honda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know my wife went up there. She felt some stuff when we
Oh,
went up there and toured it. She's like, "Yeah, there's some definite weird energy up here." She's a
My
little
wife
sense.
won't go.
She's in tune to that. So
wow. And it's really cool when you're in tune to that. And I used to never really, until I had my first paranormal experience when I was pregnant with my oldest son. And then after that, I started noticing more things. It wasn't until years later, but now just that feeling you get sometimes when you're certain places or just something you hear a noise and you're like, how did that fall? And there's nothing else around, but what real quick, I know we're running out of time, but yeah, the episode I was in, the first one on Beyond, the Sam Bass episode,
Hmm.
we filmed it, but we didn't give the location, but it was at Haunted Hill House in Texas, and where we were filming, and that's where I get down in that fireplace thing, and I get down in the thing that's in the house. But back behind there, Maddie Blake and I were walking. We were getting ready to go film on top of the mountain back there, and we're walking beside the well, and him and I heard an out of body little girl's voice. And we found out later by the owner that supposedly a little girl had fallen in that well, died.
wow,
And so that was creepy. But I had a lot of experiences previous to us filming there. In fact, Maddie Blake, and he posted it later after that aired he does some sort of podcast as well
Yeah.
on paranormal stuff. And he posted, and you can hear me and Donna's voice in the background because we're sitting there in the kitchen and there's all these monitors and there's this big orb and it's like it stops and it's just floating there, like communicating with Maddie. And then all of a sudden, this orb just takes off
oh
and
man,
camera, and it's really cool. He posted that, but real quick, and I'll shut up. I was sitting there the first time I went to Haunted Hill House. I was sitting in the kitchen and I'm watching all the monitors. And because I didn't do any kind of paranormal investigation, all the other people are up all in these other rooms doing paranormal investigation. I'm sitting there, I'm snacking at the table. And the next thing you know, I feel this on my shoulder tap, tap, tap. And I was, oh my gosh, when I felt that, and I'm the only one in there, I look around and there's nobody there. Talk about creepy.
wow, that is creepy.
That's crazy.
My gosh, that would freak me out. I think.
Like,
Um, well, hey, Gypsy, tell people how they can find you. You send people over to your website these days, right? Tell them about your website.
yeah, if you go to my website, you can find some of my merch on my website. It's gypsydigs.com. That's gypsydigs.com. Real easy to remember. And my lady that does my website just put up the link also for my book. So you can hop over there and it'll give you a link for that book as well, along with you can get some of my merch on there and some learn a little bit more about me and some of the stuff that I'm involved in. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Yeah, and you go find her. But Tony just put the links to the Amazon link and also to her website link down there. Go ahead, Gypsy. That's right.
I was just going to say it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate y'all having me on here and chatting with y'all again. It's been too long,
It
and
has been. Yeah.
yeah, people can check me out even on Ken's channel, Adventures in Dirt. I think it was a couple weeks ago. You featured my channel, Zero Discrimination, and also Zero Discrimination group on Facebook, as well as they can find me under Gypsy Jules and Instagram, Gypsy Jules. Same old. Just Google Gypsy Jules, and you'll find stuff. Patty Blake and That's
Isn't it
crazy.
crazy to think? It's so crazy. Yeah, you're a batty flick. You get all the inside scoop. Uh, isn't it crazy to think that we would be all involved in all this social media stuff? Like,
Right. Never would have thought.
yeah,
Mm.
but you do a great job with it. Absolutely. So thanks for being our guest. Hold on one second. We'll say our goodbyes off the air, but thanks so much for coming and joining us here. Tony, what do you got?
Just want to thank Gypsy. We said it a couple times. It's been too long since we've caught up and stuff, and I think some paths will cross with the three of us here in the future. And we're always open to working with you. Whatever you need promotion with, if you got stuff coming up, just let us know. Obviously, we're here to support you and the community. So we love you a ton, and we're here to help you out. So. And I've got a big video coming out. I'm going to shoot for Saturday morning. Probably going to do it as a premiere. So if you guys want to jump on 5280 Adventures on YouTube, and I'll be over there Saturday morning with our big hunt from last weekend. Pretty amazing stuff. So, and if you want to follow anything else, Facebook, Instagram, just put in 5280 Adventures, and you will find me over there with all of my to-dos and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate all the support.
Yep. And if you never checked out my weekly dirt show, it's Sundays. I release it about 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I'll be releasing the weekly dirt shows. I've switched up the format a little bit this year, but it's the same thing. I will feature other channels and what they're finding out there across the world of metal detecting. I'll put it together in a nice, quick format for you so you can enjoy some of the things other people are finding out there. And if you enjoy that, give me the thumbs up on my videos. Let me know you're liking it by leaving a comment. And make sure you go support the channels in which I feature. All their links are right down into my descriptions. And I really appreciate you guys over there. Seeing it's been about a year since I took a year off, and now I'm back, and I really appreciate the support. Gypsy, thank you so much for being our guest tonight. Always a fun time. Great to see you again. Tune in next Thursday. We've got great guests lined up. And if you get out and dig, go have some fun. Be safe. Go get the good stuff and tell me about it. We'll catch you next Thursday. Tony, you going to join me next Thursday?
I'll be here.
All right. Very good. Very good. Maybe Gypsy will come back too. That was fun. We had a good time with her. But yeah, everyone catch you next Thursday on RELICS Radio.